what A-Idea Collaborative is a group that comes together to collaborate. We brought up a lot of interesting topics, a lot of interesting designs and ideas. Ideas just spewed out of this collaborative group. And we all were passionate about what we were doing and the idea of the A-Idea Collaborative group. And for us three people, we were three very different people, even though we were all industrial designers. I consider myself a maker. Brent Saulic, he is a entrepreneur / designer, and Nick Tilma is also a designer.
Slash artist.
Slash artist, yes. All three of us were originally Kendall College students, and Nick now has moved on to MSU for industrial design. Okay, he moved on for industrial design, and we do miss him. But yeah, I started off all Kendall College students just because the group started here.
We had many in-depth arguments and discussions regarding what our exhibit should look like, what should be emphasized. We had a lot of design challenges that we had to overcome. But at the end of the day, having more than one person, having a group of people collaborating, adding their perspectives really helped evolve the piece. I was managing it. I made sure the equipment got there so that we could practice setting up, practice and experiment with the different technologies that were included in the piece. But yeah, always had support, always someone there to lend a hand. And we worked on it all summer. And by the end of the summer, we had like an advanced understanding of what needed to happen with the technology and the projector, and really how to bend and transform the medium, which was the plexiglass that we were refracting.
The project had many phases. We started with this idea of having an interactive Artprize piece. And we wanted to do something interactive, and originally it was going to be something of the sorts of like being able to draw on a giant screen that had different props that you could draw with. And we started troubleshooting for that, and came to the design solution of rear projection. It evolved over several phases. I would say that's the first phase. Where we're like, all right, well, what sculptures can we make out of the acrylic? And from there, I went home and just played around with the acrylics, seeing what I can do with it, with just a torch and bending it. And some interesting shapes came up and stuff. And as I passed it to Brent, I was like, hey, look at this. It was in a dark room. We had the projector going for the project and stuff. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, there's all these crazy shapes going around. And it gave a really awesome effect. And ever since then, we've been kind of playing with that idea. The SciLab project was kind of like a beta version of this project, and we just discovered this effect that it created, and we did what we can with the time that we had. We wanted to be at the SciLab because we knew that big things could happen through this, and look at this. We got suggested for a design firm through this beta version of the Artprize piece that we have. So. All right, well, what you're actually seeing from that is the reflections and refractions of light when the light passes through acrylic, and the light bounces off of this. It's not a flat surface anymore, so you see these bends and warps, and you also see it go through that bent piece, so then you also see like kind of a shadow of it. But what we're working with is mainly the reflection and the refraction. So bending acrylic sheets, we're using a heat gun by hand and waiting until we see a difference in the light. That's what I do, at least. And then you can almost smell like when it's ready, which is probably not good for you technically, but there's several paints that are not anyways, so it's just like any other artist thing. But yeah, you wait until you see a difference in it, and then you're able to bend it how you would like, depending on what your desired effect. And like for the dimples in the pane, you wait to see it, and you wait to see it warp and like gravity take effect. Lots of time. It's really hard to do without creating bubbles in it. That's the hardest part, of being patient with it and then taking it off just in time. There's lots of things that can happen with it. In fact, creating my piece that I made for Artprize, the seed, I have 3 panes because I was going to do 4 panes. And that first pane I did, I discovered that making it the giant concave arc was the way to go instead of trying to make the dimples first, because if you do that and you try to make that concave, there's lots of tension in the acrylic, which creates rip points once it gets too hot, and ripped it right in half, pretty much. So
I say the biggest challenge, the biggest technical challenge, I would have to agree with Jordan, was actually bending the plexiglass. Okay, the plexiglass, we call them seeds. The seeds are what we call the form of the plexiglass after we bent them, because when the light projected through it, it created an array of, it was the seed that created the tree of light, as it were. And so bending that was the most technically difficult thing I've ever done. As far as the medium goes, plexiglass, at least the way we were forming it, is a slow, painstaking process of heating it, waiting it for it to melt, and watching it kind of flow, and using gravity to try to kind of mold it into a shape that could bend light in an interesting way. I would say the next aspect of it was trying to get into a form. We weren't particularly 100% successful at getting the seed into a form, although we became very adept in creating light effects from the plexiglass. The next step of this project would probably be trying to get the plexiglass into a recognizable form that creates the refractions.
yeah. Well, we wanted something interactive, and that's what the original Artprize exhibit was. We kind of veered away from it, and I wanted to still have the interactive part of it. And I came up with the idea of having the connect, because there's no touching the art piece that we're doing. And Brent Saulic went out and found open source software that actually takes the Connect camera and it sees depth through the infrared, and it has a color scale according to the depth. And it gave a really cool desired effect that we wanted, and when people walk by, it would change the colors of it.
That integrating those two, the plexiglass and the projector and the Connect, all into a running functional exhibit, that was pretty hectic.
Designing to the space that we were given, I think it came out great. I couldn't be happier with it.